Right, an important part of every trip that I used to neglect a lot is drying out your gear. So right now I got my shack set up in the driveway. Unfortunately, in the winter time, you can see that the sun just doesn't make it over the top of that building. It will momentarily. This end of the shack is getting some sunlight. It will dry a lot more quickly in the sunlight. So what I've done is, and it's working really well, is I just set up a Coleman stove in there, and it's probably close to 10 degrees warmer in this shack now, and quite a bit of ice is already melted off the outside. The parts around the bottom here, the little flaps along the bottom that you pile snow on are going to be challenging. But I think once I get the rest of it dried out, I should be able to flip that up and let it dry in the sun. So I'm just going to leave this going for an hour or so. And obviously when I'm going into the tent, I'm going to be careful of carbon monoxide because I've got it all sealed up here. I open both doors wide before entering to check the temperature and whatnot. Alright, so speaking of drying stuff out, an amateur move I pulled yesterday is that I took a lure off that I had been using, and I put it back into one of my boxes. I took several off actually, and normally what I would do is take those and set them aside, dry them out, and then put them back in. So I'm opening up my tackle box here because it's gotten some moisture inside, and I'm letting it dry out as well as the shack. So you can see some wet spots on here that are drying out. The wet spots actually were quite a bit bigger when I started this process, so it's working really well with the stove going in here. And now I'm going to dry out my fishing gear as well. If you don't do this, you're going to end up with a lot of rusty fishing gear. Ask me how I know that. I know it the hard way, so I've started taking better care of my gear, and part of that is drying it out properly after every adventure. Alright, the upper part's all dried out. I'm just flipping it over. We're getting some good sun now. I want to dry out these bottom flaps. So just flipping it over. I'll leave it here for about an hour or so, and it should be dried out well enough, or dried out completely, and I should be able to pack it up in the bag and put it back in storage.